children, welcome to biology class. Climbing the hills or mountains, running or swimming, all these activities would have been done by you. What do you feel when you indulge in all these activities? We can probably live without food and water, mostly for some time. But can we live without breathing? Children, today we are going to study a new lesson, chapter 10, respiration in organisms. All organisms are made up of small microscopic units called cells. A cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of an organism. Each cell of an organism performs certain functions like nutrition, transportation, excretion and reproduction. To perform these functions, the cell needs energy. Even when we are eating, sleeping or reading, we require energy. Where does this energy come from? When we eat food, we get energy. What is the relation between food and energy? Our food is stored energy which is released during respiration. Breathing is a process during which we breathe in air having oxygen and we breathe out air rich in carbon dioxide. The air rich in oxygen is transported to all parts of the body and ultimately to each cell. This oxygen is utilized by the cell for respiration. The process of breakdown of food in the cells of an organism with the release of energy is called cellular respiration. Cellular respiration takes place in the cells of an organism. Types of respiration. On the basis of the presence or absence of oxygen, respiration is classified into two types. They are aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. What is aerobic respiration? When the breakdown of glucose occurs with the use of oxygen, it is called aerobic respiration. During aerobic respiration, glucose is completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water and energy is released. Aerobic respiration takes place in mitochondria. It is an organelle found in the cell. It can be shown by the equation, that is glucose, food, that gives breakdown into carbon dioxide plus water plus energy in the presence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration is seen in most of the organisms such as humans, dogs, cats, lions, elephants, cows, buffaloes, goats, snakes, earthworms, frogs, fishes, etc. Next one is anaerobic respiration. When a breakdown of glucose takes place without using oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. The glucose is not completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water. Here is an intermediate compound is formed with the release of less amount of energy during this process. Here the equation is glucose that give rise to alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus energy, absence of oxygen. Okay. There are some organisms that follow aerobic respirations such as yeast. That another one, some certain bacteria. These are all carry out anaerobic respiration. These organisms that carry out respiration in the absence of oxygen. So these organisms are called anaerobes. Yeast is a single-celled organism. During anaerobic respiration, also we call it as fermentation, yeast produces ethanol or alcohol as a byproduct, which is used in making wine and beer. The carbon dioxide produced by yeast is used in the bread making industry. The carbon dioxide gas released during this process that causes bread bread dough to rise. Usually, aerobic respiration takes place in humans, but under certain conditions, anaerobic respiration may also occur in our muscles for a short time due to temporary deficiency of oxygen. When we perform a heavy exercise like running, cycling, walking, weightlifting, etc., we require a large amount of energy. To meet the energy requirement, our muscle cells perform anaerobically. During this respiration, during this process, the glucose or food in the muscle cells is partially broken down in the absence of oxygen to form lactic acid, and some extra energy is released. The following equation shows the production of lactic acid. The glucose that give rise to lactic acid plus energy in the absence of oxygen. This occurs because during vigorous physical activity, the utilization of oxygen that is faster rate in the muscle cells that can be supplied by the blood. When the lactic acid produced during anaerobic respiration that gets accumulated in the muscles, it causes muscle cramps. The muscle cramps can be relieved by taking a hot water bath or a massage. This improves the circulation of blood and oxygen supplied to the muscle cells. The increased supply of oxygen results the complete breakdown of lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water, thereby giving relief from cramps. What are the main differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration? In aerobic respiration, it occurs in the presence of oxygen. But in the case of anaerobic respiration, it takes place absence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration, it is a complete breakdown of food takes place in aerobic respiration. But in the case of anaerobic respiration, partial breakdown of food occurs in anaerobic respiration. What are the end products of aerobic respiration? That is carbon dioxide and water. End products of anaerobic respirations are alcohol and carbon dioxide, sometimes lactic acid in muscle cells. These are the end products of anaerobic respiration. In the case of aerobic respiration, a large amount of energy is produced during aerobic respiration. But in anaerobic respiration, less amount of energy is produced. Next one is breathing. Breathing means it is a process in which air rich in oxygen is taken inside and air rich carbon dioxide is given out with the help of respiratory organs. Thus, breathing involves two steps which take place alternately. Which are the two steps involved in breathing? That is inhalation and exhalation. What is inhalation? Inhalation means taking air rich in oxygen into our body. That is called inhalation. What is exhalation? Giving out air rich in carbon dioxide from our body to the external environment. That is called exhalation. Next is breathing rate. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is termed as breathing rate. An adult human being can inhale and exhale 15 to 18 times in a minute. It is the average breathing rate of an adult human being. The breathing rate of a person is not always constant. It changes according to the oxygen requirement of the body. Breathing rate is somewhat faster in women than in men and in children. It is higher, about 20 to 30 times per minute than in adults. Breathing rate is lowest while sleeping. as less energy is required at that time. While maximum during heavy exercise like running, weightlifting, that time much energy is required. Increased breathing rate provides a greater amount of air entry into the lungs. Hence, blood can absorb oxygen at a faster rate. Faster breathing supplies more oxygen to the body cell for producing more energy that required for heavy exercise. During heavy exercise, the breathing rate can increases to 25 times per minute. Because of this, food gets broken down at a faster rate and thus make us feel hungry. When we feel drowsy or sleepy or tired, open our mouth wide, take long and deep breath of air, yawn at the time of yawn. Because our breathing rate slows down and the body does not receive sufficient oxygen. Let's recall. What are the important points we studied? Respiration is essential for survival of living organisms. It releases energy from the food. The oxygen we inhale is used to break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water. Energy is released during this process. The breakdown of glucose occurs in the cells of an organism. That is called a cellular respiration. If the food is broken down with the use of oxygen, it is called aerobic respiration. If the breakdown occurs without the use of oxygen, the respiration is called anaerobic respiration. During heavy exercise, when the supply of oxygen to occur muscle cell is insufficient, food breakdown is by anaerobic respiration. Breathing is a part of the process of respiration during which an organism takes in the oxygen-rich air and gives out air rich in carbon dioxide. The respiratory organs for the exchange of gases vary in different organisms. Students, I hope you understood this part. Thank you and have a nice day.